All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Thank you so much for joining us as we continue on to cover some of the top stories of the day. Getting back into the political realm, let's talk about an interview that's going to be taking place tomorrow with the former President Donald Trump and also tech billionaire Elon Musk. Of course, as a major interview on Monday night. That the mogul, whose public persona is becoming increasingly controversial, endorsed Trump last month, actually on the same day that Trump was shot at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. So we're following all of this here on Live Now from Fox. Also, this post is, of course, Trump is asking, do you like this post? He'll be interviewed by Elon Musk on Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern. For more on this, let's bring into the conversation right now political analyst Brian Sobel. Brian, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And these two very polarizing figures sharing maybe the stage, sharing the platform on X to talk about a variety of topics. What do we make of this, and what do we maybe hope to learn tomorrow night?
Well, Andy, it's a very curious pairing for a what should be a national interview. And, Elon Musk is this mercurial figure, but in many ways, so is Donald Trump. So how they interact will be pretty interesting to watch. But of course, that's one side of it. The other is, what information will we glean from the interview? And I think people would be tuning in a little bit to hear more from Elon Musk. Musk is not very public in many respects. You get snippets, but you don't get long interviews with him. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least. And maybe I want to ask you, do you think it's risky for Trump? Because maybe the last interesting major announcement was with Ron DeSantis, where he tried to announce his presidential run for the White House on social media. It was marred by tech disruptions, as well as the announcement not heard around the world. Is this a risky interview to be doing for Trump?
No, it's to me, Andy, it's a one-off. It shouldn't surprise anybody that this real estate multimillionaire former president would be talking to this tech billionaire about issues, given that Elon Musk has endorsed Donald Trump. But again, the dialogue should be interesting to follow.
Yeah, no, interesting as well. And of course, Elon Musk there taking over Twitter. I do want to ask, now calling it X, I do want to ask about just that platform, social media, Donald Trump posting to his Truth Social platform, but it was noted that he was removed, suspended from Twitter and X after January 6th. Musk, since taking over the platform, has reinstated. Do you think there'll be any conversation about him getting back on that platform at all?
There will be a reference to that because there has been a growing over the last few years social media environment, and all the candidates are using it now. And so your access to those platforms is very, very important. And when Donald Trump was removed, of course, that bred Truth Social, and that is now a viable platform worth billions of dollars. For which Donald Trump has a pretty good interest in it. So all of these platforms are important, and I think we have moved beyond the day where people are going to get kicked off these platforms.
All right, that's very good. All right, we're going to move on a little bit, talking more about than Elon Musk and Trump, because we're now about a month away from the first presidential debate. Real one with these two candidates, with Trump and now Harris on the Democratic ticket. They're expected to be in Pennsylvania and then Michigan, kind of the three on three different networks. What do you think is going to maybe transpire over the next month, and maybe how important are these debates for both Trump and Harris?
Well, first, Andy, that incredibly important for both candidates. Donald Trump has to demonstrate that he's presidential and not vindictive and mean-spirited. Kamala Harris has, I think, a little bigger job. Her job is to present herself to the nation as somebody who can be commander-in-chief. And so there's going to be a lot of dialogue there that'll be interesting to watch. And we'll see whether over an entire debate, whether Donald Trump can remain calm and not be baited. The Harris camp is going to work on bait lines, things that she can say to Donald Trump that will cause him to remark in a way that they can utilize in the campaign. So if you know there's a bunch of bear traps coming and you're a bear, you ought to think about that.
Yeah, got to be aware of what's to come for that one. Let's talk about the recent campaigning of Harris and Walz, because really this has been the first whirlwind week as a complete ticket. What do we make of what they've kind of talked about to potential voters in places like Pennsylvania, in Michigan, Wisconsin, in Arizona? What did you kind of get a sense from this campaign initially?
Well, first, I think your viewers would probably agree that not enough of Harris speaking candidly to the media. Everything that she has done has been very, very controlled. Her events are teleprompter events. So she is being kept, I think, on purpose, away from these situations where she can put her foot in her mouth, frankly. And so will that continue? That's something to watch. And then, of course, for Walz, he's dealing with this military record situation, which he's trying to put behind him. But then the Harris campaign comes out and says, well, he misspoke about whether he carried a weapon in war. That's not misspeaking. Walz is a trained speaker. He was in a classroom for hundreds, thousands of hours. He knew what he was saying. He was intimating something without lying. And so I think he has to, at some point, for veterans across the country and those who served in combat, I think he needs to come out and say, I probably went too far in my statement, and for that I apologize. The old clip that they drug up about him. So there's a lot of things over the next few days, Andy, that I think will provide fodder for people in the news media who are watching these campaigns.
Yeah, and it's an interesting contrast, like you noted there, with Harris not doing a sit-down interview or really any interview over the last few weeks, and Trump will talk with Elon Musk on Monday. It's a very interesting kind of dichotomy of what's going on there. Let's also talk about the DNC, which is coming up in just over a week in Chicago. We've heard President Biden sit down for his first interview since exiting the race, not seeking a re-election. Maybe do you think the DNC will host, or do you think Biden will be a focal point of the DNC, or will they keep him away? How do you think they manage kind of that balance?
I think they have to celebrate his presidency, but I think it's not going to be a focal point of the convention. He's the past at this point. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are the future from the perspective of Democrats. And so reminding people that Biden had to leave the race, and as you know from that interview and other comments, he knows he was forced out. And so there's a little bitterness, I think, for people that really were longtime Biden supporters about the way it was handled. And so I don't think they're going to draw a huge focus at the DNC about Biden, except for celebrating his half century in public service. I think they would be almost required to do that.
Yeah, their RNC, their theme was unifying. We'll see what the theme really of the DNC will be in a week's time. And it's interesting, 3 weeks ago, Biden decided to not seek re-election. The world has changed significantly. The U.S. political system has changed significantly in that time. Brian Sobel, thank you again. I appreciate your time, as always, here on Live Now from Fox.
Andy, always great chatting with you. Have a great Sunday.
All right, thank you so much. You as well. All right, let's continue on here on Live Now from Fox. Great conversation there. Just about 3 o'clock on the East Coast. A live picture one more time in Washington, D.C. at the White House. We'll get to more